I would never tell an artist what they're supposed to do. First, let me say that.
Right.
But if I saw something, a way that I could help you and take pressure off of you, like that was the thing about Trevino. He was like, you don't have to do well. He goes, you are going to bomb. He goes, but that's what this is. He goes, just tell those stories.
Ball breaking with Mike and Steve. I'm Steve. No Mike today. There he is. Look at that guy. Where the hell's he going with that headshot? Jesus Christ.
I think that is his yearbook photo from the 11th grade.
Yeah, that don't look like Mike anymore. I had an extra 17 years. But
less hair,
you know,
if you
we
can
were
believe it.
supposed
Less
to.
hair.
We were supposed to have a guest. We were supposed to have Mike. We're doing a couple more virtual casts before we're back in the studio. And now it's just me and Brian talking shit. We wanted to get the episode out. So here we are. Brian, I like your get up there. You look very East Coast in your hoodie. I'm wearing the T-shirt, the Eagles tee, still rocking the colors.
Yeah, man. It's actually cold right now, Rinaldi. If you can believe it or not, it is cold in Florida. I woke up today. Let me see if I can get the screenshot up.
What's cold in Florida?
For me, anything below 65 is now cold.
You're a disgrace.
I'm serious, man. I'm telling you, if you move
you're
down,
a disgrace. I'm not dealing with this. Stop. You know what I did today? I scraped ice off my windshield. And then I did the old South Philly technique. I put the crate in front of my spot when I drove away. So when I come home tonight and there's snow on the ground, I save my spot. You know that move?
Crate? What do you mean? You put a crate where?
A milk crate. I put a milk crate in my parking spot. You never heard of that before?
In the street.
Think about it. We parallel park.
Yes, I got
right?
that. Yes.
You're going to get a lot of snow. A lot of the parking is going to be blocked.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I salted my spot.
Got you.
Drove away. When I come back, I have a crate there. See, you think I'm a dumb guy. Come on. And now I'm on the road doing comedy. I'm in a hotel room.
So who's got your spot,
which I'm not. Huh?
Who's got your spot? Oh, your boy's
my
here.
Wife.
My wife got the spot.
My
yes,
wife has
got the
spot.
Okay, here you go. Your boy's here.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Steve Simeone, Comedy Store regular. Stevie. Yo. Yo, buddy.
Can you hear me?
You all good, man?
I'm trying to set this up so it looks normal. Plus, I got to comb my hair.
Yeah, you look good, buddy.
How are you, dude? It's good to see you.
That's my producer, Brian, right there.
What's up, dude? How are you, man?
I'm good. Good to meet you.
Steve, that's a real East Coast haircut, might I add, buddy.
Oh, I get this every week, but my hair grows so fast.
Yeah, it's me, too.
It looks like this for a day.
Really?
And then 2 days it looks short, and then by day 3 it's too much hair. I have to put so much stuff in it. Like the barbers down here just laugh.
How hard was that when you moved out there, finding someone that you trusted?
Oh, forever.
Yeah.
And the best thing about LA was my barber, God bless him, Mr. Caputo.
Oh, that's a real greaser.
Oh, bro. He retired when he was like 92, but I would still go to his house. And I was the last one.
I'm just visualizing that you getting your hair cut while you guys are eating meat and cheese.
Oh, okay. So I remember, I have something I call fat guy instincts. Like I could just drive by a place and I know whether it's good or not. I just know.
Steve has that.
Turn around. I could tell by the signs. I could tell. So I moved to Sherman Oaks like 10 years ago, and there was a sign. It said, at the old school barber shop. That's tremendous painting in the background, by the way, Brian.
Yeah, thanks.
You're the first person that caught that. God damn it.
Come on. One dog's looking one way, the other one's looking the other way.
What do you want from me?
so good. So yeah, Mr. Caputo, I walked in, he had a life-size picture of Padre Pio on his wall. And I'm like, I think Padre Pio sent me here. And that's all I had to say. And I got my hair cut by him every week I was in town for like 9 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
Still around? Still around?
But he's so old, I'm afraid to check in on him. I had a couple friends in LA that
shit.
are so old now, though. It's been like, he hit me up about 6 months ago, Mr. Caputo. He sent me a message on Facebook, then he just called me.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's great. God
Steve,
bless.
I feel like that's something. I don't know if you're just using him as an example, but I always have attached to older guys. I've always been closer. I become friends with people that are older than me.
Yeah, I don't like my generation. I have nothing but sympathy for the kids younger than me.
Kid, but I'm 35. What do you mean, kid?
Compared to me, I got 14 years on you, 13 years. But the generations ahead of me, like Mr. Caputo, those World War II guys, those Korean War guys, like God bless them, they were just better people. They know how to live, you know.
Yeah,
they appreciate a lot more than us. Go ahead, Brian.
They had a tougher time to go through. You know, they had a harder life.
Makes better people.
Yeah.
Everybody's so entitled and spoiled. Like, Steve, have you noticed that with audiences lately? Like, some of them are just like, I know it's not me. There's people that come in, and it's like they don't even want to be in a comedy club.
I feel like since COVID came back, most of the people that are spending money to go to a comedy club, because it's an expensive night out, you know, it always was. Yeah. Now more than ever, I feel like it's like privileged, like assholes. Yeah. That I don't know if they think they're going to a theater show or not, but it's like
I don't get it.
It's really weird.
I think, you know what I honestly think it is? Like when I was a kid and I read in the Bible that Jesus would spit the lukewarm from his mouth, it scared me. I was like, wait, am I on Team Jesus enough? And then what I realized was that's what's happening right now. You have people that are getting better. They took this last 2 years and they went, you know what? It's not all about me. I'm going to get closer to God. I'm going to get closer to my family. I want to figure out what's important. Then there's people that just became more selfish. People that are always on their phone, and they think it's all about them. And it's the good and the bad, and it's the people I want to hang out with, and the people, God bless them, I'll pray for them, but I don't want to be near them. I don't want that to be my audience. I don't want those people. I don't want to be near it because it drives me like I'm very susceptible. You know what I mean? Like I'm the sweetest guy ever, but then like somebody just has to do one thing and I get angry.
See, I feel like during the pandemic, I had the same type of mindset. Coming out of it, I ended up getting engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Got married.
Congratulations.
My wife and her stepson, they moved in with me.
Oh, congratulations.
I got a baby due in March.
That's what I was going to say. I don't want to say anything. Congratulations.
I got very virtual. Look at this. Very virtual. Yeah. I'm starting to connect and network that way, focus on what's important. And I feel like the comedy clubs ain't going nowhere.
No. Well, also it's like it's a whole new thing, man. Like this online content game is more important than anybody realizes.
And a little bit of a backstory, Brian. When I met Simeone, well, first of all, the first time I met Steve, he was at the Comedy Store. I went out there. I was like 2-3 years in. I went to visit Eleanor Kerrigan.
She's the best.
And she introduces me to Steve, and she tells him I'm from South Philly. And he's like, oh, I love this kid. He's a guinea. And he walked me in every room in the store. I don't know how many showrooms are in the store exactly.
Great.
You walked me in each one. And I'm in the parking lot with you, Ari Shafir, and Eleanor. I felt like I'm a comic 2-3 years in. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like
I remember
BMWs are pulling up. Oh, it was crazy. And after that, I remember I went out to visit Mike Perkins, who's been on the podcast before.
He's a great kid.
Based in LA.
Guy I met with you at Flappers, right? From Jersey.
He was emceeing, and weirdly, you were middling for Pauly Shore. And
Pauly was
we just happened to be at the club all at the same time. And that's when you said to me, start a YouTube channel.
Yep.
And start a podcast.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for you giving me that insight, I remember saying, everybody's doing it. It's weird. You're no joke. You're the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which, I mean, what is it? It is what it is. It hasn't
doing it,
but it's something like different, you know?
Everybody gives up too soon. Like I remember talking to Tom and Christina, like they got into the podcast game early, but it still took them 8 years to get any momentum.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants everything instantly, and that's just not how life works. Like you don't at Elvis black belt, you don't want to just walk into the dojo and they give you the black belt. Like you got to earn it.
Dude, you're always dropping them gems, bro.
You're always dropping. How bad the lighting is and how puffy my hair is.
I was telling somebody that I work with today about, or it wasn't today, it was sometime this week, and they were asking about the podcast and if I was making any money on it. And I was like, no, but if I keep doing it for the next 5 years, I'll probably have 600 or 700 episodes, and there's no way I won't be making money off it by then. Correct. You know?
Absolutely.
So if I just keep doing it, we're going to build a fan base, and I'll eventually make enough money on it, hopefully, to where I won't have to do whatever job I have right now.
Yeah, and then think about all the skills you're going to be acquiring during that time frame, and all the people you're going to meet during that.
Oh yeah, me and Steve were just talking about that, beforehand. I didn't know any comedians before I started doing podcasts with guys who were, stand-ups.
And who knows how the business will evolve, but like when you're in it like this, you're going to be aware of changes in technology. You're going to see opportunities before normal people won't. Like,
yep, 100%.
Like the nerds that got into this stuff right away. Like I saw it coming and I was like, whoa, what's going to happen when normal people start listening to podcasts? And that was like 10 years ago. And now look at it, like,
that's what VR is now. I know Red Band and a lot of those guys. I watch Brian Redband's VR channel, and
dude, Red Band.
I think that's what I want to get into. What's that?
Yeah. Red Band's a pioneer. I remember when he was doing podcasts out of his house in Burbank. It was like he started Joe's thing, and it was like, anybody else want to do a podcast? Like,
yeah.
He started Bert. He started Tom. He started Ari. He's like, I told Red Band once his name's going to be in textbooks 20 years from now.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's true. Rinaldi, yeah, it really is true. Yep.
I'm telling you, that night when Simone said that to me, Simone, how long were we outside Flowers talking? You were like, Jesus Christ, it's 3 a.m. Get the fuck away from me. We started talking at like 9:30. It was crazy.
It was like 6 hours. The only person I've ever talked to longer in a row was Brett Ernst.
That seems possible. Wait, so it's Brett Ernst and then Steve Rinaldi?
Yeah.
I could see that.
Well, me and Brett in the same sentence. Thanks, Simone.
Oh, he's isn't he the greatest?
Great guy. Great guy.
Not only is he like the best person ever, but he's such a good comedian. Like,
well, guys like you and him that are like killers on stage, have good values, genuinely good people, and humble as fuck. It's like someone like yourself that's done what you've done, and I know you're humble as shit, and you're not a bragger, and I get all that, but like the stories in the short, we don't talk often, but like I recall, like I'm one of these people that listen and don't forget. Like I love that story you told me about with Louis when he was the biggest comic in the world.
Oh yeah,
and you had to follow him.
Yeah.
That was like that story. It's like those are the moments that me personally, I work hard that one day I could sit in rooms like you and Brett and do a show in the middle between you two guys and try to figure it the fuck out. But, a guy like yourself that's a store regular, you don't realize that you do it all the time.
it's interesting.
It's
like you
you're
just show up. You know what I mean? You just show up and you don't quit. And next thing you know, time goes by and you're just like, oh, I guess I'm doing this. Like, it's surreal to me. Like, I just look at the friends I've made over the last 20 years and I'm beyond grateful. And like today I was at the gym and I was wearing a Gabriel, like, I don't know what year it was, probably like 2013. Gabriel Iglesias put together a stand-up comedy festival in Phoenix. And he was nice enough to just put me on it, right? So I have the t-shirt. It's cool. So this guy at the gym starts asking me if I saw Gabriel when he was in town. I'm like, no. And I was like talking about what a great guy he is. And then the guy was like, do you know him? I'm like, oh, yeah. And we started talking. And then he was like, oh, the other comedian I love is Sebastian. And I go, oh, yeah, Sebastian's a great guy. And he was like, do you know him too? And then he gave me a look. I was a lunatic and I was making everything up. You know what I mean? And then because like now I live like a normal, I don't live in LA. I live in like rural Florida. And
I didn't know you moved.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. Oh,
Brian's based in Florida.
Yeah.
Dude, I got out of LA when Joey Diaz got out of LA. He was like, we're the Marines, no man's left behind.
Do you think you'll ever end up back, Steve, or you like where you're at?
I love where I'm at. I bought a house and
God bless you. God bless you.
I moved my parents in.
Oh, nice.
God bless you, man.
Yeah,
So,
good for
God
you.
bless you.
It's everything. It's a dream come true.
And I know you're very religious. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You don't come across in this industry, like a very religious guy, you know, and it's Italian background, everybody's family.
Yeah.
If you're a dick, goodbye.
Yeah, it's like I'll pray for you. I understand it though, like because I think it really does come back from people just not being connected to God's love, right? And I think that's why the world's so crazy right now is that people are rejecting a better way to live, and it's just I feel bad for them, but just I've looked back at my life. There are times I thought maybe I could save people and stuff, and I'm not God, you know. I can pray for people. I can be there for them. You know, I can feed somebody. I can help somebody with a couple bucks here and there, but I can't have them in my life. You know, life's too short.
Definitely.
Sounded terrible. No, that didn't even sound Christian. I'm sorry, Lord.
It's
But
true.
you know what I'm
Fuck them, Steve.
No, but like I'm trying to find. We're all works in progress, right?
Yes,
but it's
sir.
like I don't know. I love God. I'm grateful for my relationship with him, and I just want to try to bring his message more. Like I'm starting to feel like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I just got interviewed by St. Anthony Messenger magazine from Italy. It's a magazine that my grandmother used to subscribe to. It's like I think it's like 50,000 Italian grandmas across the country read St. Anthony's Messenger from like the shrine. And I was talking to this priest in Italy, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's all I really want to do is lead more people to God, but I'm not a saint. And there's sometimes I get around people and I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, but I don't remember your comedy being like church-like comedy either. Like
Well,
your stand-up, I know how religious you are, but you work totally clean now? Totally?
Totally, yeah.
Totally. And you
Totally,
used to be a joke writer. Now it's all storytelling.
I pretty much could never write. I would do more like 15 years ago. I was doing more like party, let's have a good time, drinking, basic, more observational stuff.
Right.
But honestly, since like 2006-ish, I have a buddy, Steve Trevino. I don't know if you know him. He's a great comic. And
I heard of him,
like, he had 6 weeks worth of work where he was headlining, and they let me feature for him. And he goes, throw out your act and just tell everybody the stories you tell us in the car. And I haven't really looked back. Like in 2006, I started telling stories. And then when my
Simeone,
first...
you better never do that to me if I ever open for you.
Oh, I would do. I think that's the best thing about working with friends.
Dude,
like,
yeah, you wanted
right?
to do that for you.
Yeah, I would love to. Like, Steve, I would watch your act and go, this is what I would never tell an artist what they're supposed to do. First, let me say that.
Right.
But if I saw something, a way that I could help you and take pressure off of you, like that was the thing about Trevino. He was like, you don't have to do well. He goes, you are going to bomb. He goes, but that's what this is. He goes, just tell those stories. And that was like 2006. And then like 2014, my first album came out. And there was a couple, I think there was 2 F-bombs in an hour. And then there was a couple things that I didn't drop the F-bomb, but it wasn't family friendly how I presented it. And then I'm like, what am I doing? And I made an album that my mom can't really play for her friends. So the next album, I
get in my head about that shit too.
Yeah. So I did it completely clean, and I dedicated it to my mom so she could play it for her friends. And it changed my life because they could take that completely clean album and play it on the radio. And ever since then, I think it was like 2015, I gave up cursing on stage for Lent, and then I never went back to it.
That's a real guinea move right there.
Yeah, I gave it up for Lent.
That's hysterical.
And you know what's else wild, man? You're not the only Comedy Store comic that I consider a friend in this game, and it's like I hear how much sin goes on there.
Yeah.
The fact that you dedicated a quarter of your life to that building and came out the way
almost half
did,
my life.
That's what I'm saying. Didn't you work the door?
I did every job there.
For you, right? When you moved out to LA, what were you doing at the store?
Well, I would say for my first 10, 11 years in LA, maybe 12 years, I had at least 2 jobs. In addition to comedy, writing, acting classes, all the other stuff you're trying to do. And I had met Pauly Shore in Philly at a comedy contest in Philly. And he gave me his number, so I get to LA, and he remembered me. And long story short, I was a production assistant. He was doing an independent movie. And I was getting paid. I think he paid me $50 a day. And days could be 12, 15 hours. And I remember I'm not making this up. Nobody else was working. And so we had to move a couch or something, and nobody wanted to do it. And I was so mad. It was like 2:00 in the morning. I'd been there since 8 in the morning. That I took like a little love seat, and I threw it on my back, and I was taking it down the steps by myself. Nobody else wanted to do it. And as I was coming down the steps, Pauly was coming up the steps. And I got home at like 3:30 in the morning, and he called me, and he said, I'm going to get you a job at the Comedy Store. And then that job meant I didn't have to sign. The best thing about getting a job at the Comedy Store was employees got a 3-minute open mic spot. So I was able to get a spot every week, 3 minutes every week. And that was pretty much the only consistent stage time I had for like my first 8 years in LA.
Did you get officially?
Dude, that's crazy. For the first 8 years? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Simone, I heard you say on a podcast that you didn't make a living off of comedy till like year 12 or 13, right?
Yeah.
I heard you on a podcast say that.
Yeah, it's true. I was blessed. Like, Pauly took me under his wing, right? That's why that night when we were at Flappers, he was working out his one-man show, and he wanted me there with him because he was getting, like, really vulnerable. And Pauly's like, I've known Pauly 20 years, so he's like family, you know? Which is crazy to me. Like, a kid from Delaware County who my spring break was playing cards with my pop-up in his kitchen.
That's my whole life. I do that every week.
That was my spring break, and I'm watching Pauly on MTV, like with the Hawaiian Tropic girls, and we became friends because to me that's proof of God. You know, like not that he's famous, like that two people so different could find value in a friendship with each other. You know Absolutely. What I'm saying? So Pauly put some money in my pocket, like I could go open up for him. But then I'd come back to LA and I'd have the 3 minutes of stage time. I worked every job at the Comedy Store. First it was phones, then they made me manager. And then I downshifted from manager to door guy to cover booth. I did parking lot like 3 times. I bartended a handful of times. I was the assistant talent coordinator. I did lights once or twice. Like I worked pretty much every job there. Still didn't get passed after 4 years. And I'm like, forget it. So I quit and I took a job at a gym, working graveyard shift at a gym. And then I always had another job, like whether it was telemarketing or working in pizza shops, whatever it was, I had 2 jobs. And then I didn't really start making a living. Like I got paid to do comedy whenever in 2001 when I was opening up for Pauly 20 years ago. But that was like, you know, I do the road, I don't know, 8 weeks out of the year that year. So you can't live off of that.
Yeah.
And then the 2 day jobs, I could quit one of my day jobs. I think it was like 2009-ish, 2010, when the Old Town coordinator, Tommy, started to give me a spot in the main room at the Comedy Store. And if you did the main room, they would split the door with you. So in those days, the comedians took 50% of the door. The house took 50% of the door. But the club was dead. So you were lucky to make $130.
Right.
But I was making $130 in 15 minutes.
Right.
Whereas working at a telemarketing job or the gym, I was making $8 an hour. So that's probably like, honestly, 25, 30 hours with taxes taken out.
Right.
So then as soon as I started to get main room spots, I could quit a day job. And then Rannazzisi let me stay at his house for free in 2011. 2011, he was moving back east to have his second kid, and he wanted to be near family. And it was like right before Airbnb. So he needed to keep his condo in LA because he was shooting that TV show, The League. And he was like, hey, man, I need somebody in there that I can trust. And he was like, 3 months out of the year, we're going to be roommates. 9 months out of the year, I'm going to be in New York. And I was so scared because I had an old, terrible car. And me and my brother lived in Santa Monica together, and life was great for 4 years. Then he was getting married. He was moving back to Philly. And I had just enough money to get my own apartment, like on the border of Hollywood and West Hollywood. And it was about a 2-mile walk from the Comedy Store. And I was like, okay, no matter what happens, my car breaks, I can still walk to the store. I can walk to the Laugh Factory. And then I was like, my rent at that time it was a miracle. And the chick, the lady that managed the building was from Philly.
Really?
Yeah, I was checking Craigslist every hour. And I found it was a studio apartment with gated parking for $850 a month. And I jumped on it. And I figured I'm good. No matter what, I'm good. With working at the gym and a main room spot, I can cover that rent every month. Then Rannazzisi was like, I need you to move to the Valley and live in my condo, but your rent's only going to be $300 a month. Just pay the condo fees. I'm like, what? So then I crunched the numbers, and I'm like, if I could stay in this condo for 2 months without my car breaking down, I'm breaking even for car repairs. And then I go, every month I'm ahead of the game. Let's roll the dice. And then I moved into Rannazzisi's place. It was beautiful, like a TV show star condo. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, hardwood floors, fireplace, central air, jacuzzi, pool. Chicks would come over. They thought I owned it. And it was great. And then I paid Rannazzisi $300 once, and he ripped up the check, and he went, no, God wants me to give this to you. He goes, just don't quit. And then that's how I survived until Gabriel put me on TV, and I started to headline more. Then my first album came out in 2014. I made pretty good money off that because everybody I knew promoted it. And then in 2014 or 15, Ari Shaffir put me on his show. So now I'm getting more road gigs, more consistently headlining.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gave me a job as a producer on a show for 2 years. And for the first time in my life, I had extra money.
Bro,
so
that's so motivating, man. It was like
14 years.
14 years. Because I never understood why stand-ups like don't want to tell people they have a day job. Like that part of me, I never was. I guess you can call it real. Yeah. Like I tell people I'm an aspiring comedian, but I have a hard time telling people I'm a professional comic because I don't make a living.
No, that's the devil. Get that out of your head.
That's where I struggle. But I never lie to nobody. I tell people 40 hours a week I work at my day job, 40 hours a week I work at stand-up. And I can prove that I put the same amount of motivation into that. But, you know, guys like you, guys like Sebastian, Vic DiBedetto, you guys all worked for a living while you built an act and found your voice.
I remember Sebastian just giggling, seeing me come in from the pizza shop and then working the door at the Comedy Store. He's like, oh, look at this. He loved, the more pissed off I would be, the more Sebastian loved it. He was like, yeah, he wants to listen to you. He's ripping open bags of dough all day, bags of flour. I remember Sebastian just laughing. He worked his ass off, Sebastian. He was such an inspiration.
So did you. That's what I'm saying. Like,
what I'm saying,
everybody sees the finishing product. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I follow you on Instagram. I listen to your stuff, and it's like you're a national touring headliner now that does clubs and works out hours and new material, and then no one ever looks at what it took to get there. Like,
yeah, what I found, first off, you are a professional comic. You're getting paid to do this. And I think comedians always are looking for reasons to beat themselves up. People in general are. Put that out here.
I get paid, but I'm a middle act. I'm a middle act. I'm a feature. You can't make a living off of a middle act feature just yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, but my advice is record a comedy album, make it clean, and get it to the radio. I'll teach you. I'll show you how to do that. It's a life changer.
You and this Big Brother Guinea shit. It's like so moving to me. I appreciate it so much. That's
I'm just trying to be a good Christian. That's it. I was talking to an old guy at Hobby Lobby yesterday. He looked like George Jefferson in a Bucks mask. He was tremendous. We started to talk about Jesus. He was fantastic. And then he was like, hey, man, I live my life like he's showing up any minute. And I went, yeah, it's a better way to live. I really do believe that. Right,
God bless you, buddy. God bless you. Hey, can I ask you a couple questions before we wrap? Because I
didn't even know we got started.
No, I didn't want to keep you any longer than a half. I know you're a busy guy, but I wanted to ask you, because I never asked you this question.
Yeah.
Who's the hardest person you ever had to follow?
Oh, there's a couple. All right. First off, I would address something you had said earlier. You're like, I never lie. You were talking about yourself. I'm like, oh, that's why I quit drinking, because I would just want people to like me. I would just be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be on Saturday Night Live next week. Toughest people I had to follow. I remember, I feel like I got my black belt one weekend in comedy, because I had to follow in the same weekend. I had to follow Joe Rogan. Then another night I had to follow Bill Burr. Then another weekend, I had to follow Fahim Anwar doing a character called Lance Kanstopoulos, which was like all music, and he was acting like. So whenever somebody does like that character type stuff, that was very difficult to follow. Anthony Jeselnik was also a very difficult follow for me, because he gets the audience in such a rhythm with jokes. And it's so dark and funny. And he's also, that dude, he's a Pennsylvania guy. He's from Pittsburgh. He's a sweetheart. Good dude. But Jeselnik was difficult for me to follow. Lance Kanstopoulos was difficult for me to follow. Brad Williams,
Beast.
Forget it. Nobody's following Brad Williams.
Beast. Also been on the show.
He's done the podcast.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
Awesome, dude.
Another awesome comic and an awesome guy.
Yeah, Brad's a good guy.
Awesome dude. And then like when people do crowd work, like Rick Ingraham, I think what made me a great comedian was following Rick Ingraham in the main room for 6 years, because he would just do crowd work, and it's tough to follow him. All that stuff. Yeah. So Brad, Rick, anybody that's doing more joke stuff or really darker stuff.
How hard is it to bomb? Because I know we all do it.
Yeah.
How hard is it to bomb in front of the best comics in the world? Like, you guys are the best comics in the world. What's that feeling? What's that feeling like?
Everybody knows it. Everybody, like, you don't get to, like, in my opinion, we've already mentioned some of the best comedians in the world. I think Sebastian, Bill Burr, all those guys, they're like legitimately legends in comedy. But they've all been through it. I don't think you can get to that. That would be like saying, what's it like to tap out in front of a black belts in jiu-jitsu? And they're like, every black belt knows they tapped out for years to get to where they are.
Yeah.
I saw Dave Chappelle. There was a great show like 15 years ago. It was called Iconoclasts. And they took two legends and sat them down at the table and they interviewed each other. And it was Dave Chappelle interviewing Maya Angelou. And Maya Angelou.
I seen that.
When Chappelle goes like this, he goes, the toughest thing to watch is a young comedian grow. Because he goes, you're going to have to bomb. And then there were some nights, dude, I've seen shows where 5 legends bomb in a row, then a door guy gets up, a newly promoted paid regular at the store gets up and turns the room. Yeah. I've seen comedians bomb for 8 minutes and then kill for 8 minutes. Like, who knows? It's just part of it. You got to get out of your head. Let go of the results, jump into the moment, and go, this is a process.
Dropping another gem on me, bro. Yo, real quick, go to food spots when you're in Philly. Now that you're not based.
Number one is Ionelli's.
Vinny.
Another reason we don't love Brett Ernst is that he introduced me to Vinny, and that is honestly, when I was home for Easter, we were doing shows at Soul Joe's. I think you were working with Brad or something. We tried to hang out.
You texted me, and I missed it, and I regret it. Every comic that was in Philly went.
Every comic. I brought every comic in Philly. I go, look, trust me, this guy knows how to cook. That was probably one of the best meals I've ever had. So Ionelli's is a go-to food spot. Like when comedians from LA would go to Philly, I'd make them my map of deliciousness. And now, like, I would tell them where I like to go. And now I'm very self-conscious to talk food in front of you because, like, you grew up in those neighborhoods that I drove through in all. You know, like, where I'm like,
yo, I
always wanted to have friends in Philly. Always.
Joe Bartnick was passing through. Joe Bartnick was passing through Philly and did my show at Helium. And he said he was hungry, but he didn't want anything too big. He wasn't that hungry.
Yeah.
I took him. I said, all right, we'll go to this dump in the middle of my neighborhood, but it's good. I took him to Nick's roast beef.
Oh, one of the best sandwiches in the world.
He had 3 and was dipping it in the horseradish.
20th and Jackson. When I used to work for the Eagles, once a week we would go there for lunch. Me and all the old retired guys that were like doing maintenance, they were like, no, you got to go to the original location. It's all about the grill. It's all about the grill. 20th and Jackson. Nick's is one of the best sandwiches you can get. I'm a big fan of the Nick's at Reading Terminal. I think that's phenomenal.
That's a good one.
Also, a great roast pork sandwich.
Roast pork. John's roast pork is also phenomenal. What else do I love? Oh, I love all the bakeries. I love Termini's. I love Isgro's. I love this way they smell. I just like that sound.
How are you staying in shape right now?
Oh,
because every time I talk to you and Ernst, all we talk about is food for an hour and a half.
It's my absolute favorite. That's family food and fun. That's it. That's how I know God loves me. Because the best food in the world, it's not expensive. The best food in the world is very, very simple. It's like eating a hug. It's like tonight I cooked for my mom and dad. I made eggplant parm tonight for my parents, and like the whole meal probably cost $6.
I had a meatball sandwich for dinner tonight.
Oh, the greatest.
I hope you made it homemade, Brian.
I actually, dude, last time I was in Jersey, my mom froze me meatballs, and I brought them on the plane down, defrosted them yesterday, and then I ate them today.
That was my move. I used to, when I lived in LA, I'd bring a carry-on filled with lasagna and meatballs.
Yeah.
That's dope. Hey, Steve, you still doing Good Times with Steve Simeone, or you stopped?
No, I stopped doing that during the pandemic. And then Ryan Sickler and I were supposed to do a podcast together. And then now, I think if I'm going to do anything, it's gonna have to have God involved somehow.
You should do it.
Go after that market.
You should do it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if I found a cool priest, because I don't want to say anything that's going to lead anybody to hell. This is what I think it means. And they're like, no, well, how could you? It does not mean that. You know, they're like, I can't have that pressure on me. But, like, I want to, like, I never understood why, like, whenever you saw something God-related, it was, like, I think Jesus has got the best product in the world and terrible marketing. marketing, and I think the devil's got the worst product in the world, but his marketing's fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, they make doing the wrong thing always look so good. And then, like, I'd watch, like, EWTN or something with my grandmother, and, like, everybody was kind of like a dork. You know what I mean? Like, as a young person, I saw it that way. And now I'm going, you know what? The world's crazy. People need something. And
every girl I dated up till my wife, when I would get dressed on Sunday morning and they go, we were out all night. Where you going? Oh, I'm going to mass. Yeah. The looks of despair and awkwardness until I met my wife, who her values are so traditional and old-fashioned. That's how I knew. Well, one of the reasons, so many reasons. Yes. But I was like, I always made room for God in my life. I have a truck driver mouth. I'm a comic. I'm the furthest thing from perfect.
Exactly, but that's what it is. That's what I tell people.
Don't punch me, Steve.
The girl I'm dating now, I was done. I was so done with dating. And my buddy's like sending me pictures of her. She's like, no, she thinks you're cute. And I'm like, oh yeah, they all do. Like, I'm being cocky. I'm like, I don't want. He was like, yeah, but she thinks you're cute. I go, so? And then he goes, look at her. She's hot. I go, yeah, I've dated her. I'm done. I don't want to date anybody. And he's like, she's a lawyer. She makes good money. And I go, I'm done. I don't want to date anybody. It's not that I don't want to date her. I go, I got a nice thing going with my parents. If this is my cross to bear, this is it. I don't want anybody. And then he went like this. He goes, she loves Jesus. And I went, really? What's her number? And then I called her and she couldn't go out that night because she was teaching Bible study. And I'm like, okay. And that was 6 months ago.
Steve, I am beyond happy for you. And I know how much you hate podcasting. And the fact that you did this for me. Listen, next time you're in Philly, dinner on me, wherever you want to go.
Please. What I want to do is I want you to show me your spots. Like, I remember when I met your parents at Chickies and Pete's.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That was a rough day.
We're going to do part 2 of this podcast. But, like, I really do believe I've been blessed. I've traveled the world, but I don't think there's any place in the world like Philadelphia, in particular South Philly, has the best food in the country. Philly is unbelievable for food, and I would love to see it through your eyes.
I know exactly where I'm going to take you. I can't say the name of it on here, but I have a place where it sits about 15 people. Okay. It's an Italian social club, and you got to get buzzed in.
Perfect.
And it's an old lady in the kitchen, and they only serve food from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. And they run out of bread. It'll be the best chicken parm you ever had in your life.
I want that chicken parm. I want to be on that meal, bro. I got to be on that.
I've got a newfound devotion to St. Rita, and her national shrine is right there on Broad Street. Let's go to mass at St. Rita's, and then let's eat.
All right. Well, you just put it on the cast. So if you don't text me when you're here, I'm going to get very upset.
No, I do every time I come home. I
know you do.
I love you. I'm so happy for your success, and I'm so happy that God's blessed you in so many ways. Like, I'm happy for your career success, but the important stuff too.
Same with you, buddy. Thanks for making the time to do the show. You're the man, Steve.
God bless. Take care.
Thanks, Steve.
Talk soon, buddy.
Bye.
See you, buddy.